He's family. I don't know. I've never seen. I don't know. I just told him. I said, well, I've responded. I've been really nice. I've referred, and I said, this is the end of the line.
Okay, I got it.
Hello, Brother Wayne. How are you?
How you doing? How you doing, Mr. Arthur?
I'm
you doing?
blessed,
I'm
blessed,
okay.
alive and well. Oh, so this
But
is
don't come to your
where I still mixed up.
And you're off on the, or you're open on Saturdays too?
No, I mean, but they came back.
Morning or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a 5
Two my other guys in.
Okay. Also, it was a pleasure. I'm gonna get a sticker out.
But, and then I asked about bail. I said,
You ready? Oh, you got it.
Hey,
you can coffee.
No, like it's a lot of people.
yeah. So with that one item removed, the discussion may not, last as long, so we can just move into the rest of it.
Okay. They go on into the.
I was expecting,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
a
you
longer-
were. You were.
because there
You
was
was
more
gonna get
items
it.
to talk about.
Yeah. It's gonna be a long time, a long conversational piece. This is really interesting. I knew you had several calls over the old agenda 2 or 3 times. It wasn't a negative no or anything. Are you drinking that coffee straight?
Nah, I can't do it straight.
I thought you was it looked dark. We don't have.
I started drinking it.
I'm not even trying to drink it that ugly. Okay, we have a quorum and
Afternoon.
we're about to start. Good evening, everyone. We're about to open our meeting and we're opening with a workshop. And at this time, I guess we'll go ahead and see if there's any comments. Does anyone have any comments from the audience? Was anything turned in? If not, oh, that's what, hey, I got really carried away. I forgot the first part of it. Okay, we're open with an invocation and a pledge.
Heavenly Father, we come to you this afternoon thanking you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to be here at City Hall as we gather this afternoon pertaining to the business that's at hand. We ask you for wisdom and guidance in all things, Lord, that it would be done, Lord, to honor you first of all, and all of our citizens, Father, in our city. We ask you for the wisdom that pertains to the business that at hand this afternoon. And we thank you and we give you the praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's try that again. I guess I've been praying, so this week I kind of overskipped that prayer. I left home praying. You're dealing with children, you learn to pray very hard. But thank you so much for the reminder. So with this time, we recognize those of you that are here, and we don't have any comments from anyone. So that takes us into our workshop. And today will be workshop regarding plans for swimming pool. And I think John is going to kind of summarize where we are. When we said swimming pool, it has been many years in the making when you start looking at it. Hadn't realized it had been that long, but time passes on.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, I have also a printout packet of my slide that I'm going to be showing. So as we go back through the time, I thought it was important just to kind of recapture just the process and where we started from and where we're at right now. As we move forward, you know, with the councils that have made decisions leading up to this place, not all the same council members are in place currently, and I just want to be sure that everybody is aware and can concur that, you know, what direction we need to head in, or if we need to steer in a different direction, or how that needs to play out. I need to keep council kind of in the loop on that. And tonight I just want to talk, having a period of time that we can discuss options and what is it that we can all get behind to be sure that I'm headed in the right direction. In 2015. In 2012, we did some repairs on our old pool. We invested some money, and it lasted us for 2 or 3 years. The pool continued to decay and have problems. Essentially, the pool shifted, and the construction of it was such where it was full of cracks, had voids underneath. The plumbing was breaking because of the shifting. Lots of issues. And so it's finally decided in 2015 we're not going to invest any more money. There was a proposal to council at that time for about $45,000 or $50,000 to replace some of the tile decking or the coping around the edge, the tile, the kind of the rounded tile that caps the edge. Mm-hmm. And council at that time was like, listen, we got to stop putting money into this swimming pool. When I came on board in 2016, it had been closed for going on the second year, but it was still there. The swimming pool was still a hole in the ground, you know, with all the old concrete and structure there. The swimming pool house was in bad shape, roof leaks, sheetrock had all fallen in on the inside because of some roof leaking and stuff. But after looking at it, structurally, the building was in really good shape, the pool house, the old pool house. And so I got council's agreement at that time to use the site of the old swimming pool, where the old swimming pool is, kind of use that excavated portion of it and put in plumbing or go out for a splash pad, but using that old site. So we went and broke the concrete sides off, removed the old decking. We gutted and put a roof on the pool house to where we could kind of save the pool house and not lose it too. We then applied for a Parks and Wildlife grant, and we received a grant in 2017. We received a grant for $150,000, and it was to be matched 50%. So it was actually $75,000. And we matched it with $75,000 for a $150,000 project. And we built a splash pad. And using city funds, we re-sheetrocked and fixed up the pool house, put new bathrooms in it, fixed all those up, and created a party room, like a small, for birthday parties and small events. And so that's kind of where that all came about. We did have to be pretty creative because $150,000 was not, without us putting in a lot of our own labor. So we did get the $75,000 grant, and with additional labors of our own, we put the fence around it. We built the fence ourselves instead of contracting that. We built the little pavilion on the side, the shade structure, the awning, and so anyway, that's where we're at with that process. In 2019, it was expressed to us, there's a desire, we really need a swimming pool. We need to look at options for a new swimming pool. The splash pad is great, but we need to find other options for swimming pool and for summer activities. I went out and we found an engineer that came in, he's out of Houston, and kind of gave us an idea of what a swimming pool, just some preliminary plans and designs and stuff like that. He said, based on all of my bids that I've done recently and the size that he gave us actually 4 different options of swimming pools, sizes, shapes, locations. Took it to council. They kind of X'd out a couple of them and said, we like this one, but we need, we kind of like this one too. So we went back and forth a little bit until we found a pool that we felt was big enough for the city and affordable. He said, based on that, we need to borrow $775,000. We're looking at about $25,000 in engineering fees and design and bidding and all that. And then that would give us roughly $725 to $750 for the actual pool. We got ready with the bids. We sent the bids out, and in the spring of 2020, COVID and Winter Storm Uri, people call it Snowvid, but we had just 2 horrible events, the pandemic and the snow or the freeze across the entire U.S. that caused huge shortages in demand. I mean, swimming pools across the U.S. had pumps pop, break, PVC shortages. You couldn't buy PVC at any of your hardware stores, and then people not showing up due to COVID. A lot of the contractors, they lost they just put everything on pause. So we've got no bids when we first went out to bid. So we set on it for about 6 months, 8 months. Waited for things to kind of come back to some normalcy. Went out for bid again. At that point, using the expectation of a $750,000 pool, we got bids back at $1.5 million and $1.8 million. And so we knew it was it was twice what we had budgeted for. So we kind of set back a little bit, scratching our heads. I brought it to council a couple of times and couldn't really get any commitment of where we're going to go from here. I brought it back to council in 2022 with an idea that what we were going to do is the concrete deck, the large patio, the concrete decking all the way around it, and the fencing and the lighting. Let's find local contractors and let's put bid alternates to where we can let's bid the swimming pool out, and then let's find local for concrete, let's find local for fencing and electricity, all the lighting, the lamps and stuff around it. And we brought bids in, the kind of the best scenario at that time, using the 3 different bids for local contractors, and the swimming pool was $1.1 million. That was 2022. Still didn't have the funding for it. I still had to come up with, close to half $500,000. At that point, council said, and I presented to council, I said, the only other option that I know at this time is let's try to go out and get a grant to pay for the extra costs. At that time, Texas Parks and Wildlife was talking about a new project for swimming pools, and they would increase, they call them large community projects. It used to be $500,000. So you had to come up with 250,000, and they would grant 250,000 for swimming pools. $500,000 is not even close enough. So after the 2020 era, when swimming pools jumped to the roof, they increased their grants to 1.5 million. And so now we're kind of in the we're kind of back in the area that we feel more comfortable with. And it just so happens that we already have on hand 750,000. The grant for 750,000 gives us the 1.5 million. Let's shave a little bit. Let's do whatever it takes, and let's get a project for 1.5 million. And so we applied for the swimming pool grant for 1.5 million, and we submitted it last year, and we received notice first part of this year that we did not get funding. There were 68 Texas Parks and Wildlife applications for large projects for the $1.5 million bracket. 68 applications, we came in number 30 out of 68 applications, and they granted 22 of them, the top 22. So we were just shy by about 7 or 8 applications. You do lose, they do deduct a little bit of the points if you received it in prior years. So if there's another city that are neck and neck with us, apples to apples, they'll give them priority if we received one more recently than them. They didn't if they received theirs 10 years ago and ours was 5 years ago, they get additional points. So you lose some points there. You can apply for it every year, but in order to be competitive and allow other cities to get in the mix and get funding, they won't give it to the same city every year, necessarily.
The same one.
So
that 30 is out. One that got it, they gone.
And so the 30 in front of, or the 29 in front of us,
They gone.
they're going to have funding. And we'll lose some of the points or some of the deductions in points because now it's just another year behind us that we received the last grant. And so that's just where we're at up to this point. And so I wanted to present 3 options to council. Go ahead.
Before you go on, the timeline, it seemed like it seemed like it was a long timeline, but when I came in, it was everybody's priority. We want that pool. We want a functional pool. We want a pool that everybody, y'all grew up with the pool. We grew up with the pool. We really have to can't get anything smaller just from having had years of experience with the pool. When everybody's diving in on top of somebody's head, it wasn't a pretty sight, but it was so many people had need of it. And what you're finding now, even in the city, a lot of people are not investing in pools anymore because of what it costs when you try to sell a house, when you do all that. It's a lot more into it. So it's not as many personal pools as there once were in terms of individualized. We do have, still have a significant number, but they're private pools. But what a city our size need, we need to accommodate our population that want to swim, and in one way or the other. And so when I first came on, I was just, hey, let's go build this pool. I walked through that pool, and I never would have believed it was that unsafe. You could stand in the center and bounce, and it moved. And then he showed me the lights. He said he didn't know how we get electrocuted in that pool. They were in the water, and they weren't really protected. So, to God be the glory, nobody died in the pool. But I was saying, let's fix it up. He said, you really can't do anything with that pool. I was for, let's go through, but because of the structural damage, it was just going to be such a problem to do anything with it. Like I said, I didn't believe it until I walked through and I bounced around in it. And if somebody had told me that concrete would bounce, I never would have believed it. And that you could swim in a pool with exposed wire and nobody get electrocuted. It was really that bad. And so quite naturally, I said, I see why we can't build on it and we can't open it up in that state, that it had to be demolished and start from scratch. Because lives are more important than recreation. I love a pool, but I don't want to die in a pool. And I wouldn't want anybody in our city that's safety to be an issue. So that was why we had to scrape everything. But one thing that I have seen that has happened up to this point, how they salvage what was there. And what was there was the party room, I guess that's what you call it now, where you can actually have a splash pad. And there was another grant that, I don't know if you had talked about that one yet, but there was the other grant that set out. And it's a wonderful little location, and it worked well. If you've seen in the summer how well they used the splash pad in the birthday part of it, it's really nice. But for the size of our community, and with the rate that it's growing, to accommodate, we're gonna have to go to another level. And we want that pool. Like I said, whatever, you know, about what we need to do to get it. So John's gonna explore the other part. And personally, I don't think we need another splash pad. We don't need another extension. We need a pool, a real pool, a pool where kids can qualify and get their license. I mean, they're whatever it is. They don't call them license. What they call them? Lifeguard.
For lifeguards and.
Yeah, they get, yeah. Because I know when my daughter was even back in it, they didn't have quite enough space to measure. You had to go and you had to do an extra 2 laps to make a lap count or something. Anyway, she couldn't qualify because of the length. And so I do know how important it is, and our community is growing, and that is something that is accessible to everybody. Yeah, you don't have to know anybody, you don't have to be friends with anybody. It is an open public pool, and I think, I'm just pushing it. I love a pool. I know we need to, but I know we need to do what's best and not cut corners so that it isn't a project. Because in a couple of years, if you're back to square one, you don't have enough space to maneuver, you don't have enough resources in place. So with that in mind, it's Fisher's Avenue. She loves a pool, but I grew up in Galveston part of the way, so y'all know I love water. So, but a pool is something that's really needed in this community for our children. Okay.
So, no, man, you're good. So I was gonna briefly touch on 3 options, then go through those options more in depth and come back to this page here so we can we'll look at this. This will be our page that we return to. So essentially, build using some of our existing designs that we've already talked about, and then find additional resources, find additional funding. Find what is that dollar amount, what does it look like, how much are we short, and what are the best ways to acquire that money and bring that back to council. If y'all want something along the sizes, and like I say, there's options. When it comes to swimming pools, there's lots of options. We did try to make, not if something was very, very expensive and it wasn't a big benefit for, we didn't feel like it'd be really needed or used, we cut it. But things that we felt like gave us extra, and there's 2 pools that I'm going to show you. One we created with some additional changes that gave us more Parks and Wildlife grant credits. If we made the pool with a 0 grade entry, instead of just a pool hole in the ground that had to have lifts to drop you down in the pool. If you were disabled or in a wheelchair and they had to drop you down in the chair, versus a 0 grade entry where you could roll up into it, or
Beach option.
a beachfront type option, yes sir, or where if you're elderly and have unstable footing or whatever, and you can just wade right off into it without having to climb downstairs. All kinds of different options, right? So we tried to find some stuff that the Parks and Wildlife said extra points for this, and we prioritize those. Use our existing funds. I come back to council and say, this is the money that we have on hand for a pool, and here's what we believe we can get for that amount of money. Our engineering group, without spending a lot of time on it, they did show us, they said, hey, we actually just built a pool. It was for an HOA subdivision for like a small neighborhood. It was for their main office. We just built a pool for roughly that amount. And we can show you, and so I'm going to show you all a picture on that too. Just what a smaller pool for using existing funds, what's feasible. without borrowing more money. Or reapply for the Parks Grant again. Reapply for the Parks Grant, put in for it, see if there's additional sources of funding along the way to where we're not just sitting here for a year twiddling our thumbs waiting on the Parks Grant. But we spoke with Parks and Wildlife Group. They looked at our application. They feel it's a good application. They did offer up a workshop in May. There's a workshop that we can submit our application to, and they can go over it with us and see if they can find any ways to improve our application or remove things, add or remove things that will give it more favorability. And so, but essentially, hold on to our money for now, don't spend it. A couple of things that I can think of with that, even though it is a valid option, it's another year. And I cannot guarantee that we'll get it. I feel like we're gonna have better chances or improved chances of getting it. And our chances were not bad this round. We did have a pretty good chance and we got pretty close, but it's not guaranteed. So we may wait another year for nothing. And we may, the dollar, as long as a dollar's sitting in an account, PVC and things still go up, we may not get as much bang for buck right now in a year with that same money. But that being said, that same money, or, if we're gonna move forward with engineering, bid processes, it's still gonna be a good year, maybe not, but, it won't be tomorrow. If y'all tell me today, hey, go out and build a pool. If I go out and I'm gonna have to find more money, we're gonna have to go out for bond, all that process takes months and months. So it still wouldn't be a tomorrow project. All right.
Yeah.
So
with that being said, with you doing that, you still could apply for the grant as well. Why are you going out for bid and making those?
yes, unless if we commit to anything else. So if we go out and commit and begin construction or
We're out of the.
paying money using existing funds, this grant, just like most all of our grants, if you've already made commitments for it, saying, hey, we technically have the money or we have a wherewithal to get the money, we plan on being good for it, and then we're going to get a grant just to try to reimburse ourselves, we won't qualify. It has to be, we can't sign or execute anything until we get grants that says you've been approved, you may now proceed. We could go ahead and plan and put in for a grant, and then start coming up with other options. And if we get other entities, school districts, there's options.
The school
There-
already said that they wouldn't partner with us. So.
Actually, they
They
did.
said they would partner with us.
Yeah.
I talked with them, but they actually didn't say that they wouldn't. What was actually said was that they wanted to explore it more.
Yeah. And so,
I'm sorry.
no, you're good.
And with the time that it happened, because I did sit down with both of them and the part of the board and whatever, but the deal was, it was a little mixed message in terms of what the expectations were. And then it was also mixed message on how much funding they actually had available. And at one point, it wasn't the funding that everybody thought was available when it was kind of pointed out. But it was never a point where they said that they didn't think it was a good idea to see if they could work because of the number of kids that wanted to. They just wanted a little more specifics with the details spelled out. Because when we talked about it originally, it was quick. The grant was coming up and everything was coming up and we were trying to do it quick. But the long term, even with the YMCA, it was a full conversation with it, that it was something that everybody could kind of teach.
We spoke with the YMCA, we spoke with Boys and Girls Club. Like I say, there's options, none of them are guaranteed. Once you introduce and enter into partnerships and agreements with other entities, you're kind of putting you're putting yourself out there that things may go in a different direction. Then you have you have more opinions, which it may be required. We may have to say, hey, listen, we'll commit this much. And so if it's a joint effort, or we find additional funding, say, okay, we feel like we can free up this much money, we're going to go ahead and bite it off, and we're not gonna wait for another year for that grant, so go ahead and pull it. Like, that way I'm not wasting that time, but if a new project does come up that can fund it, we haven't missed the window of opportunity to apply for the grant, and we can then just call them and say, we found additional funding, we don't need the grant now, just pull our application.
So we're looking at doing it simultaneously. 1 and 3 at the same time.
That's an option.
I mean,
We just can't
give
commit
it a, yeah,
to number one.
we can't quit to number 1 till we hear from number 2, but it wouldn't stop the process from going on with
Correct.
number 1.
Yes, ma'am.
So using the existing funds that we have, it wouldn't be much of
This is,
a pool.
here's what we were given on, so this whole pool here is about the half the size of our old pool.
It's a hotel pool.
It's a small pool.
A small.
It's about a hotel pool.
It's a small.
It's a little bit
hotel.
bigger than a hotel pool, maybe.
That ain't gonna work.
And so, I mean,
Small.
he said this one here. He said the pool itself costs $550,000. With that, he said it doesn't include this jacuzzi or heat, this over here because that was already there. But it doesn't address any kind of booth space like concession stands if you're going to sell food, tickets at the gate, or storage for backboards and medical supplies and bleach and.
Well, I mean, with that being said, I would focus on putting the money towards the pool. And then let us look towards getting office space or concession. Because,
That's
I mean,
one
we're
of the
targeting
Yeah.
the pool.
Right.
I mean, we're not targeting concession, office. I mean,
Well, it's
that could be, that
a lot
could
of
come
that's
later.
a lot of it's required though. For instance, what I'm talking about is when he said $550,000 for that, it did not include. See those light poles? It did not include the fencing on it. So you have to have lighting. You have to have fencing. You can't leave it open, accessible, and you have to have some way to man a gate or something like that. And you have to have a place to store supplies, backboards, and bleach and.
Yeah,
So
your
you have-
chemicals. Yeah.
But you don't have to, when you had given me
There was a drawing.
saying that you would look at doing like $100K for it. But I don't think that would, I mean, an office concession, storage, I think we should be able to do that for less.
It just depends on
And
what.
then the rest of it goes towards the pool.
Yeah, it just depends on what you're wanting to build.
Okay.
The options are all over the board. I can, something short of a, some type of a movable, not a storage building, but you could bring in some kind of there's all kinds of options. It's just, what do y'all want? Do y'all want it to be more rinky dink or do you want something nice?
So we-
Outside of option,
yeah. B.
outside of option 3, outside of us receiving option 3, everything else would not fit our need. We could build a pool just to say that we have a pool, but outside of option 3, it wouldn't meet our need. Other than if we go back to option 1 with a tax increase.
But I think.
I don't know.
Yeah, what you're saying is, number one, I think we're all in agreement, we want a real pool. I mean, it's not no ifs, anyway.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And that's
That's
what
what
I
I'm
said, we do want the real pool, we want a pool that's functional, because if it's smaller than the one that we had before, it's not gonna be functional. I mean, if you were ever out at that pool, it was body to body on a good day. So, with that, like you said, option 1, and I think John had already mentioned it, that looking at option 1, it's not one that we can't pursue about how we could get other funding and looking at any other funding source. But it has to coincide with option 3, because if you accept anything and you receive money to start with option 1, then you're automatically ineligible
So
for 3.
option 3 then, if we apply, then we stand still.
We know we can do them simultaneously. You don't necessarily have to stand still, you just don't have to spend the money. If we explored another way to do bonds, to do raise it, and we could explore it, but we couldn't commit to
Yeah,
it.
but we could take no action.
We could take no, but we could actually see, and we wouldn't lose time. So we didn't get it, we could automatically go into Plan B. Because one would have to be Plan B and not Plan 1 until we have an answer from the deal. So what would happen differently at this point that we didn't do before? We just waited.
Mm-hmm.
We waited with great anticipation and great hope, and we got slapped. But that's all right. But we moved up to, we were halfway up there. Okay? So the top half now can't apply. Maybe it'll be another half. But what we didn't do, we didn't explore the details of where we could get other monies from. Now we can't lock ourselves in it, but at this point we could actually look at other sources of funding that we could pursue. And John, he's the business person.
So if we apply for this, we should know, once again, by the end of December. They actually said normally they come out with these in December 1st of January. That it actually pushed by about 60 days. There were some other issues or things that they didn't review the applications like they normally did on schedule. So if we do apply for it, we should know by the end of this year. So that gives us roughly, 12 months to know, 10 to 12 months to know whether that's coming in. While that's applied for and we're waiting for that, according to what I'm understanding from the mayor, we could go out and say, here are our financing options. And here's how much it's going to cost. And here's option 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and we have real dollar costs. Is it going to be 2 cents on the value? Is it going to be 1 cent for 7 years? Is it going to be 2 for 6 years?
Yeah.
I can give options of what it's going to cost, what it's going to cost the median home value. Just different options, and then y'all can decide. No, we're not going to bite that bullet until we know. And then in December or January, they say yes, then that's great. But worst case, they say no. Then we have all the options.
And then we can go straight forward. So it's not any time wasted.
To where I don't spend another 6 months after that looking for funding.
We would have everything laid out.
Well, it would be nice if we could get the funding.
Sure.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
But we do, like you said, and I understand what Councilwoman was saying when she said, we really don't want to waste a lot on the outside. We want to put bangs for our bucks on the pool itself, the actual pool. But you do have to do the other trimmings around it. We do know that, a certain percentage. But we want the bulk of it to be, what does it take to make the perfect pool?
Where do we have you said we have 750. Where do we have the 750 at right
Is
now?
it drawing
It's
interest?
sitting in an account
Drawing interest?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's
All right.
small. That's small amount, but
It's
yeah.
drawing.
If I know that we're not going to touch it for 8 months or something like that, I can put in a CD and draw bigger interest. It's just at this point, if they came out and said, "Hey, you got the grant," and I got it in a CD and I pay penalties to pull it, so I can put it in a bigger interest drawing account.
And so you said the grant we wouldn't know that the grant was afforded until when? Was approved until?
The cycles,
Can we get a 6-month CD?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what-
Yeah, you can do 6 months. I think
Yeah,
8
and
months.
so long as
Roll
it's
it for a
drawing
6 month,
something.
get a little more money on it anyway.
Sure.
I mean,
No, it's just up until now. The timing. I didn't feel like we could lock that money up.
So we
But
could
it
lock
should-
it for 6 months.
If we did number 3, could we have for donations?
For sure. We
We
See if
take
we can
all.
get some donations from,
we had a company, not a company. I'm sorry. It was a church that came in 2015. When council was talking about, listen, we're going to have to shut our pool down. We can't afford to keep it open. And we had some churches come in and said, man, this is really important for us, that this pool stay open. And they offered to begin fundraising. And so we opened an account and everything. I don't think we received anything. I don't think we received $1,000, you know, and so we put that money, but ultimately it still had to be closed down because it was gonna cost, at that point, roughly $50,000 to replace the tile. And when I said, and I do understand what you're saying, on like the building, but you know, there are options, but what I was talking about, the things that
Require.
that other pool did not have, or they did not spend when they spent that 550,000. They didn't have concrete around it because it was already concrete there. It was an existing pool that they went and that they dug it back out, but they had decking to work with and fencing and lighting. So you have to have at least fencing and concrete, so it's not grass up to the edge of the swimming pool. So it's just, that's what I was, and that's why I put in there roughly just something along the lines of that. That's why I put. They said that pool itself cost $550,000.
How large is it? How large is it?
I have the dimensions. It's 4 lanes instead of 6. It's 4 swimming lanes
Okay.
and 60 feet, I believe, long.
Not 75.
So it's 24. It's 24 wide instead of 40 foot wide. So it's almost half wide, and it's only 60 instead of 75.
Yeah.
75 or 80 foot is a half an Olympic size.
Yeah.
So you can do the double lap. You can do a 2 lap, and you'll get 1 Olympic size swimming pool. This is even smaller than that, and it's only 24 foot wide. So it's 4 6-foot lanes.
Well, I had a
with
20.
this here with concrete and fencing and everything else, we'll still be probably spending more money than we currently even have.
I had a 20 by 40 pool, and by the time all of my grandkids got in there and 3 adults,
It's full.
it was full. You'd be jumping on, like you said, jumping on somebody's head.
Even when the pool was big, it was hard to keep the real swimmers from diving in on top of everybody. But like I said, I mean, we've already discussed, we would like the pool, but I like the fact that when we look at a pool, handicap accessible, senior citizen friendly, I'm on that other side now, so that you don't have to climb up and down, you can just walk. And then it's family friendly because they can sit in that little shallow part and be there with the kids.
Yeah, also I think that, I mean, it would benefit, like you say, handicap accessible if they wanted to do water aerobics
Yeah.
for the elderly.
Yeah.
This one here,
Something like that.
that's what we have on this one here.
Yeah, and that one had all those,
So right here is the 0 degree entry,
where you just,
the beachfront entry, and it's flat. And so here you get to 3 foot from 0 up here, right?
Mhm.
And it starts at 3 foot, and here's an underwater bench on this
That you
side
can
and on
sit.
this side. All down this side is an underwater bench, and on this side is an underwater bench for parents to sit and wait for their kids while they're playing and everything else. All of this is 3 foot for water aerobics.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, you know, a pretty good size area for your water aerobics, and it had a little shade structure. And then you have a 6 lap pool, you know, and then off to the side over here, it had a pretty nice water slide for just an additional attraction. Kind of keep all your big kids playing over here and out of the way, and your smaller kids can be to where you don't have big kids on top of small kids and stuff like that.
So now you did have I think another amenity was the basketball.
you
We
can
had
get all of
we
that.
had options when we bid it out, but they were bid alternates. We have dollar amounts to add right here. If you see
can
that,
add 'em to-
right here you have a basketball hoop. It also had the option that you could put up a volleyball net across and play water volleyball
I
and things of
we've
that
been
nature.
replacing that about once a week,
Right.
What's that?
the basketball deal.
Or swinging on 'em.
Since we don't have a diving board, they're gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, that's why it went from 1.1 million that when I was in your slide, 1.1 to 1.4. There's things that we could
Yeah. We can, I mean, I don't
drop
have,
them down.
yeah, I don't have a problem with, adding our amenities, at a later time, because
Mhm.
those things could be added later.
That was another thing is you don't have to rebuild. You don't have to reinvent it to add
Yeah,
additional.
so what
amenities.
you need is the structure, we need to make sure that we have enough the structure in place. And then you can add, like you add the fluff later. But being able to roll into the pool is a must. Because it's a lot of people do the rolls and get into it. And then being able to sit in there while your children are playing is a wonderful thing, because before, when they had the little pool, they got, you go sit in that little pool and there wasn't room for the children to play in the pool. All the grown folks sitting around the edge, and then the kids didn't have enough room to play, but it's, so the basic parts of that pool are just,
You know, the way we had kind of had this drawn up
those
was,
that existed.
so this is an existing restroom here. And then in between it, we would have a patio area for eating, to keep the eating and the food and the candy and stuff that attracts ants. Everything, keep all food out of here and drinks, and have some picnic tables and stuff like that for to come out and eat. Have a storage room, concession, and a ticketing booth, you know, right here with the gates to where it'd be a controlled point of entry, not,
And those, not, like I said, those can be additive with, other than,
yes, ma'am, some of it,
Cool,
like,
cool,
you know,
yeah.
you don't have to
we have the
have,
restrooms, we have that, and we can do state phase 2 of the edit. But the key part is to have the basic structural.
right here, yep.
Okay, so basically you're saying that you would apply for the, you're saying that you would apply for the grant
I can.
along with, seeking other funds to assist with what we already have now. So whichever one comes first, if we receive the funds first to actually move forward, with the pool, we can do so.
If we decided to.
If that's what y'all
But
decide.
if the grant was still on the table and it was
I'd
just a
wait
matter of
until
a
we see if
couple
we
of
got the
months,
grant and then go to,
then we could do, but the,
But go ahead, but what I'm asking is, so, that's what I'm saying, if we still get the funds, so you're saying if we get the funds, if you find the funds, that we can,
we
can
can't,
purchase to go move forward with the pool. So if we get those funds, we still hold on to those funds
yeah,
until we check and see if the
because once
grant has
we,
been approved.
yeah, once we commit to those funds, we can't get the
The
grant
grant.
if it
Okay,
came through.
okay.
So you're talking about a couple of months difference, with 2 or 3 months maybe different
Yeah, it wouldn't be too
between
much, yes, ma'am.
where they would respond. So, because it's gonna take a long time to seek the funds and line them up.
So what's the
either way.
long time? What's the time frame? Are we looking
You're
at?
still looking
Are we
at,
looking at years?
no, not years, no, we're looking
what are
at
we looking
months, hopefully
So what?
squeeze into a year.
Okay,
either way.
kinda give me
A lot of the timeline's gonna be on council, so for us to go out and seek the funds,
okay.
a tax note, the easiest thing is a tax note. But if I'm trying to find something that's more competitive,
Mhm.
you know, if we do something that's more competitive, then we're gonna, you know, that's the timeline, like, we can go out and borrow money.
Mhm.
And the easiest thing to do is borrow money against property taxes.
Mhm.
And, you know, I don't know that council's ready to bite that bullet.
Nah,
You know,
I don't know, we already done give away,
so,
nah, we don't need no more taxes.
and so,
we already, what are you saying? I mean, we can give companies, tax abatements to come in.
that's
We
new.
can't give ourselves,
No, that's a different,
No, that's
tell me
a ta-
something,
a
okay.
tax abatement is
Okay. I'm
future
just-
taxes that we're not even getting.
Okay.
If we don't
It's
go
not counted
out to a
in.
tax, if we don't sign a tax
Okay, I'm
abatement
just
agreement, we
asking.
lose that company and we don't get those taxes anyway.
Okay.
This is committing
Mhm.
and increasing our tax rate
Mhm.
directly. So the money has to come from somewhere. So the easiest thing is, or the simplest that most cities would do
Mhm.
is a tax note. But if we want to be more competitive and try to find more
Other
monies
source.
elsewhere, then it's going to take some creative searches and thinking about how to, basically how we came up with this last one. I was able to use existing INS reserves that we already had to pay off that tax note, so we didn't have to increase the tax rate. The money that we have currently sitting in for the swimming pool did not cause a tax rate increase. And so that's some of the creative thinking I'm talking about, but I don't know, you know.
So
I
to
don't
get
know
the
what other
pool
options we have.
that we need, we would need to get the local park grant, option 3. The money's for
To get
there.
something like this.
Yes.
Correct. yes,
Without creating another funding source.
without borrowing money. Like I say, unless you're looking at other partners, we go back again to, you know, YMCA, Boys and Girls Club.
Well, there's no guarantee of getting other partners, so I mean, no.
None of it.
And you really,
I mean,
you start operating on their dime then.
and just like,
Is this the Olympic size?
Yes, sir.
So if we get this and then the school calls.
No,
and
I'm
says-
sorry, it's not an Olympic size, it's the 80 foot, it's the half of
So you
Olympic
can
size.
do, you
It is
can
a
swim back
qualified,
and forth and get
it
the
is
lap.
qualified
Okay,
for
so-
UIL and
So if we
swimming.
do
Get
this
your
on our
laps.
own, then the school calls and says, hey, we need to start using the pool.
Well, they have to pay a fee.
It'd be for a
Well,
fee, and that's what they had initially
Yeah,
said.
I mean, they'd have to do a contract more or
Right.
less.
That's
if
what they had
wanted to-
initially,
And that's what they were talking about. They didn't want to, they wanted a contract to say, they didn't want to own anything.
Right.
They just wanted a contract.
Right,
And
to
so-
be able to use it?
what
Yeah.
they had
Okay, well, I
mentioned
wouldn't
is,
see a problem
the
with that.
things that they would be open to is things that are specific to a swim team, like
Mhm.
requirements for a swim team, a
Yeah,
locker
they
room,
have lockers.
showers, you know, changing room, and
Well, if they
diving
got this
blocks.
And they needed that, then they could put that stuff in.
Right, and that's what they said that they could probably justify using school funds for, or things
It's a
specific to
mandate
their
that they have to
requirements.
have. And those are
Diving
added to
blocks,
the-
diving blocks, and maybe, or a pool heater. That way, when they're swimming during the winter months, they can warm the pool up.
Mhm.
Things of that nature, the school was not against
Yeah,
at that
was-
time, but there was no commitments, it was just more of a discussionary,
Mhm.
a discussion, about it.
What would we charge to get in?
Okay, well, that would have to be,
Y'all,
all that would be negotiable, depending on what, I mean, the cost for, it would be like a contract between, Which
I think
entity
you were
it
talking
is?
about individuals.
oh, the
Yeah,
individual,
I'm saying,
it'll probably
we
run,
gonna-
it'll probably run about the same thing, individual. Because the pool has never been a moneymaker for the city. It's always been it would be set according to what was functional for the city. They would set the city technically
Well,
would
you
say,
can go to
this,
other-
we
you can
want to
go to
either
other
bite the
cities.
bullet and make it accessible to everybody, or do we want to make you're not gonna ever really make a lot of money on it, and it was never designed for that, the city pool. I mean, you saw what the price was to get in.
using the costs, all the basic costs, and we talked to a few other cities, as well as our relationship or our history with having a swimming pool. It was costing us about $40,000 when we used to have a swimming pool. And talking to other cities, that's not out of line. The more, you know, and then we were selling, I believe, it was $2, I think, for half a day, 4 hours or something like that. So it was just more of a nominal fee. You actually made some money off of birthday parties and rentals of the whole. So different options. Concessions is what the other cities have said have made them the most money is concessions. If you don't allow outside food and drinks, no glasses, no glass bottles, and all this kind of stuff,
You can't have
and
that.
they buy it there, then that's a lot of your source of revenue is concessions. So
I
Are we
think-
gonna have to hire a maintenance person, a caretaker?
Yeah.
Another city employee to
And
be the
lifeguards during the month, during the summer.
lifeguards?
Once again, this is getting pushed off another year, so I can't put them on the hook for something that's a year from happening. But the Boys and Girls Club said that they want to partner with us and run it. Or they'd be willing to partner with us and run it, like they do Lufkin, Nacogdoches, and other cities. And then they develop to see what that delta, that loss, how much do they lose per year, and ask us to help cover that loss. Because they don't plan on making money either. The city of Lufkin, it's either city of Lufkin or Nacogdoches has 2 pools. One of them has 2 pools, one has 1. I believe Lufkin has 2 and Nacogdoches has 1. And so Lufkin has an agreement with the Boys and Girls Club. They have all the staffing, lifeguard, the training, insurance policy, you know, they cover all the costs. And, you know, they pay $60,000.
The Boys and Girls Club does?
And it's just run by them, and it's not run by city employees.
Is that a possibility here?
Yes, sir.
That is, that's.
And that way you're not duplicating, they're buying all their chemicals from the same source, getting better pricing. They have training programs for lifeguards. We're not reinventing the wheel by using a company or a Boys and Girls Club who already has a presence here in Houston County in Crockett.
Where is our Boys and Girls Club?
They're at the school.
At the
They have a
junior-
hybrid
still at
program.
the
So they have employees in Boys and Girls program, but it's at the school. They don't have their own club separate from the school.
Yeah, they're at the elementary.
So that's why they're kind of interested in expanding their program here in Crockett. So,
Okay, so
Do
let's
something.
bring some recommendation or some,
So basically, so run that by me again. So basically, we're looking at threefold or twofold, meaning,
probably two.
meaning,
Many
meaning,
folds.
excuse me?
I said mini folds if you
Mini-fold.
break it down. So,
Okay,
you
so
gonna-
applying for the grant, and also looking for other funding. Seeking other funding, is that what we're doing? So the monies that we have currently, you're thinking about placing that in a CD, or,
If y'all would like, I could come back with a few CD options and
Short term.
we'll deposit it in a CD.
Well, if it ain't making much right now, I'd put it in something that's making money.
It's in a low interest bearing, it is interest bearing, but it's not much.
I'd put it in something for a little bit that makes some money.
well, the money markets are up, aren't they?
Yes, ma'am.
And with money markets being up,
Some
you
money
can take
markets-
that out
Some
at any
some-
time.
As a public government, there's some money markets we can't put in for,
Okay.
so we don't have access to, but CDs, and some money markets we can, so I can bring y'all some
Okay, I think money market options would be good.
So, one thing, so, option one, to pursue using the existing money that we have to pursue a possible money market, increasing it, making money off of it some way, right?
Increasing our funds.
$750,000. Okay, that's one of the things, in option one. The other part in option one is that we were gonna look to see if there was any other options for
Well-
acquiring money, but even as we look at option one, the real bottom line for it is that we will not commit to anything if we're gonna go to if we're gonna still be working option three. And option three is that we're gonna pursue the grant the local parks grant. But we can't commit to any other funding, because once you commit to funding, then you automatically are not eligible for the parks and wildlife.
So you said in the.
So option three ties our hands.
Yeah, but it really doesn't. It's gonna take some time to do that. The money marking part of it, you can do. It's not gonna influence.
No, but I'm just,
Yeah, it's not gonna do it, it's gonna be increasing the funding, because it's gonna take some time to work out the details of what you can get and what you can afford, but we just can't put any money into it. Now, can we explore it? Can we look at it? Can we do the spreadsheet? We just can't commit it to funding it. So,
it's about as clear as mud to me.
And that's why I'm bringing it to y'all, because I need to,
But-
I know there's some
But I'm just,
there's expectations on me, and to me, because there's,
if it's muddy to us.
I don't think we should increase taxes.
Okay, so that's.
I'm looking at option, I'm looking at option three.
Okay, so even while but what he's gonna do, we're not gonna do it directly. We're gonna explore what it would look like. We're not committing to it.
no.
He's gonna bring you the steps. This is what we could do. This is what it would cost. This is what we'd do in option one. Option three, we're just going, when a grant come over, we'll apply it for all we can get, and that's standard. But also he mentioned the workshop that we didn't have the workshop last time. It's an option that they can go through and review our application once we submit it and tell us how to make it better. So we didn't have that tool the first time, and we got up halfway in the ranking, so
And we
that's,
wrote that grant ourselves.
and it was in-house written, so technical writing, if you could do it, we could upgrade it to technical, to upgrade what's in the grant itself, because right now it boiled down to who's the best grant writer. It really
Okay.
is.
Hey,
If
we-
you've
we
written a
need to make
grant,
vote.
like,
We're in our other meeting right now.
yeah,
We're
so,
still in the, so, we're still in the same meeting. I mean, it's a workshop was just an agenda item on there. So we don't have to call for the new meeting.
okay, so directions. So the directions are, at this point, and y'all gotta go, that we're gonna pursue 1 and 3. 1 is gonna be that he's gonna lay out the options, see what it is, but in the meantime, see how we can get some interest off of our, what we
Well, I mean,
already
to move
have.
forward, 1 and 3 is our only options.
Yeah, that is. Cause we definitely don't want a hotel pool, I'm sorry.
Well, we need a motion.
It's a workshop. We don't
have to
take a
motion.
motion,
Okay,
but
but we
it's a
got some
discussion-
direction.
It's a discussion point, and those are the options that I will be bringing back to council.
Okay, so you know,
Yes, ma'am.
pretty much, okay. Anybody else, everybody in agreement with the options that's on the table? And John will bring us some direction. Okay. So it's on John. Okay, thank you. I mean, pool's a big project. I thought I'd be stroking anybody now, but I know it's not as easy as it appears to be. So that, at this point, that concludes our workshop regarding the pool, and we didn't have any comments from anybody, and so that takes us to item number 2, regular session, February the 18th, 20, approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and second, all in favor? Motion carries. It brings us to item 3, consider and approve temporary street closure of Camp Street and Fannin Street for the Camp Street Blues Festival. I think we did this last year.
We did it last year.
Yes, we did. And this is, the changes, and we do have some representation here if y'all have questions. But they are asking for 1 day only instead of a 2-day event, and they're only asking for city streets, not state highway of highway.
That's better.
That makes it better.
Yeah,
You don't have to go through the state.
721.
Okay.
And so this is the requested street closure of Camp Street and Fannin Street. I've asked DCA and I have gotten a response. I did get a response from them. They went and confirmed that all of the impacted businesses or property owners have all concurred. They have nothing going on that day, and they're okay with the streets being closed. The churches, Housing Authority, Precision Tire, Camp Street Cafe, they've all said that they're okay with. And the Housing Authority does have entrances from the other side, if they need to gain access to their office. But it's not going to impact
So
their
it's just Camp Street right
Camp
here
Street and Fannin Street.
and this one.
Yes.
Okay.
What kind of event is this?
It's a blues festival.
Blues Festival.
Yeah, they
They
had the
have-
kids did an art festival in the center of it.
Yes,
There's a blues and
Turned
art.
out good last year.
Yeah, the high school.
It's on
kids-
page 8 if you want to look at it.
Yeah, I think the high
can
school
see that.
kid did a art display or something during the festival.
Yeah, it turned out good.
Oh, yeah.
So they're wanting to limit it to that area instead of closing the state highway down. That'll really help us also on
Yeah.
the traffic on that main road, and barricades and detouring people through town. And no overnight barricades and issues to deal with as well.
Okay.
So 8:30 a.m. through midnight, and 3rd Street or Camp Street from Goliad to Fannin, and Fannin Street from 2nd Street to 4th Street.
I'll make a motion, we approve the closure, Camp Street and Fannin Street.
I'll say,
Okay, it's been moved and second, all in favor? Opposed?
Abstain.
It's a no vote.
Abstain?
No, because it's
It'd be
not
no vote. I mean, you're
anything
not-
tied to,
You're not abstaining, you're not abstaining, or recusing yourself for conflict of interest? Are you for conflict of
No, but
interest?
you can do, my understanding from the charter states, you have 3 options to vote. And that's, yes, no, and abstain.
And abstaining is if you recuse yourself for conflict of interest.
I don't have a conflict of interest, but I don't vote either way. I'm not voting either way.
So are y'all okay recording that as a no vote, if it's abstaining?
I'm abstaining, it's not a no vote.
Yes, ma'am.
It's passed. Okay, to bring us to item number. Yeah, it's passed.
Yes, ma'am.
So item number 4, consider and approve the temporary suspension of Crockett Code Article 4, Section 1524, limited to the event area and the time frame described in Camp Street Blues Festival map.
Mayor, council, y'all approved this last time. We had no concerns. Police department, any concerns? Police chief? They limiting consumption of alcohol only to the event area of Fannin Street, or Camp Street and Fannin Street. They're going to have vendors in that area. This is a suspension. This is a local ordinance that's enacted by council, so y'all do have the ability to suspend it for the parameters, the boundary of that event, and for the time frame of that event. For open containers.
What you mean suspend?
Suspend the open container ordinance. That way, if you're there drinking a glass of wine or something on Fannin Street, and you're walking from Fannin Street, or from the Bear Hall over to one of the vendors, and you're walking up and down that street, and there'll be multiple groups singing and playing and stuff. While you're on that street for that period of time, the open container ordinance is suspended.
Meaning,
They won't get a ticket. They won't get a ticket for
meaning today, you can't be on
any
Fannin
street.
Street with an open container.
Right.
But during that event, you can be at that event with an open container. And then the next day, you
You
can't be in that event.
And they'll have people guarding the entrances, to be sure that people they're not leaving with, and going to get PIs and walking around with open containers.
Didn't have no problem last year, huh?
None of us have any problem.
No problem.
So last year, the event, they had their own licensed bartenders, they were licensed with TABC. So ultimately, it's incumbent upon those licensed bartenders not to overserve people,
Right.
and provide, they're supposed to cut them off when they feel like they're to a point that they don't need anymore. As Mr. Ingerstein said, we didn't have any issues last year, and I don't foresee any issues this year, as long as the bartenders are doing what they're supposed to do by TABC rules.
They let the people come out and have fun, man. Enjoy themselves.
So that means that liability would be on who if someone happens to,
So anytime someone is serving at an event, they have to maintain financial responsibility insurance for that event. So any liability would fall back on that bartending service.
And the event is also required, the Downtown Crockett Association is required to have a liability policy.
72-hour policy.
For the event specific.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And then they're required to name us as additional insured. So they'll name us
so
in case if somebody, files a claim, the city is covered as well, not just DCA.
They just,
Through a separate
they'll just
policy.
add us to their policy.
Correct.
We will have officers at that event as well. So obviously, if we see a problem, we can let someone know, hey, we need to.
That's good.
So
I don't see no problem with that, Let people come out and have a good time, man. It's already a small town with nothing to do too much, so.
Okay, can we get any more discussion? Can we get a motion?
I make a motion to, approve the Camp Street location that them serve alcohol.
Right, temporary suspension. Mm-hmm.
Yes, temporary suspension.
Yes.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor. All in favor?
For a second.
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 I mean,
I'll
I'm
second.
sorry.
I'll
It's been moved in second. All in favor? Okay, motion carries. I mean, opposed? Was it opposed?
I'll stand again as well.
It's a no. Okay, item number 5.
Please note that as abstain. Yes,
You
ma'am.
abstain without,
She's not
we're
recused.
due. You can't recuse on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, item number 5, consider and approve temporary street closure for the 8th annual David Crockett Classic.
This is the 8th year.
Can't believe it's been 8 years.
Yes. They didn't do it 1 year, I believe, when COVID happened, but they're back. They've increased, they have great participation.
They do.
They're going to be doing a weekend, where is it at, right here? They're gonna have a Saturday morning race, and it's going to, start in Latexo, and then go out to the, 2022, go out past San Pedro, back to Grapeland, cut back out, so they're going in on 227, going out on 228 again, circling back around, so that'll be their Saturday race. And then on Sunday, and so we're not involved in that one. We're not involved on the Saturday race. On Sunday, I'm sorry, let's see here. Yeah. Here it is. So Sunday, they'll be doing it in Crockett. And essentially they're going out, they're going the same way. They're going out 229, cutting across to Liberty Hill, cutting around, and then coming back down, 20, did I say 229? It's 2022.
22.
And then they come back into town. So they leave and end up right here, on the backside between City Hall and the fire department across there. So the front side of the fire station is not blocked. It's blocked after that. That's where their criterion will start.
There's a lot of people here for it.
Yes, ma'am.
So we just need that one street. They don't do multiple streets in
No.
town no more.
No, sir. So they're not doing that, but they do want the use of the park here and all of our city hall grounds. They're leaving the police department parking lot open and everything, but they're gonna kind of come in and situate.
Gather around all the
They'll
city
have
park.
food vendors and porta potties and all the necessary stuff for all their people. And this is the map, for the downtown. And they did speak already with, the property owner here where Jesse Stevens'
Mhm.
buildings are. And so they did
I
get
don't think they're open on Saturday anyway.
No,
Or
sir.
Sunday.
but they have approval from them to use their,
Well, I make a
Parking lot.
motion with approve temporary street closure for 8th annual David Crockett Classic.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. All in favor? Motion carries. Brings us to item number 6. Consider and approve a resolution of the City Council of the City of Crockett, Texas, authorizing the submission of a Texas Community Development Block Grant Program application to the Texas Department of Agriculture for the downtown revitalization.
revitalization.
Okay, we're having one of those programs.
Yes, ma'am.
Vital to us.
Mayor and council, we've done this 2017, 2019. So we have not received funding in the last few years. They've had some more limited amounts of funding, and it became very, very competitive. But we do not want to miss any opportunity to apply for it. And like I say, the further that we get out of, and now we're no longer losing points for the downtown revitalization. We did get the CDBG MLK grant last year, so they do take that into consideration when you reapply. If we're, like I say, apples to apples with another city, and they did not get a CDBG grant. This is all funded through CDBG, but it's the downtown revitalization program. And so, they have, this project is for downtown, infrastructure, sidewalks, parking lots. The 2020 year, we funded the parking lot across from City Hall in the park area where the hospital was, and 2 blocks of sidewalks. Lee's over here to the parking lot, and then the block of Betty Boop's and Davy Crockett Drug. So we were able to get enough funding for those 2. And so we want to apply for it, again. Last year we applied for it, council approved to apply for West Houston, or it's actually East Houston, from the square. I'm not sure what happened there, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Oh.
From the square down, the 2 blocks to Bear Hall, from the square where Crockett Grind is. Lots of ADA access issues, slopes, bad slopes, and that one would qualify heavily because of the cracks in the sidewalks and all the sidewalk problems. But if we get the nod of approval for this grant, then we'll bring it to council and y'all can decide what sidewalks y'all want done. But it'd be for the downtown boundaries. This allows us to apply for it.
We're ready for a motion?
Yes.
Well, I make a motion that we approve the resolution authorizing the submission of a Texas Community Development Block Grant Program application to the Texas Department of Agriculture for the Downtown Revitalization Program.
I'll second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor? Motion carries. Brings us to item number 7. Consider and approve an interlocal agreement between Houston County and the City of Crockett for the use of the Houston County Gun Range. Chief?
Mayor, council, I want to say now it's been 3 years, when the tornado come through the north side of town, completely wiped out our police department gun range. It was pretty much in a direct path. Over the last year or so, we've researched, how to rebuild it, what we're gonna do to rebuild it, and there's a pretty significant cost with that. On top of that, it was at the North Wastewater Treatment Plant. Not the most ideal place to be shooting and being out there. We may do with it. So about the last year and a half, we've been using the Sheriff's Department's gun range. They've allowed us to come out there and use theirs just right outside the city limits. We recently put on a training there, and during some of that conversation, the sheriff and I talked, and he said, hey, why don't we just share this range? We can train together, we can work together. We've got this spot, we'll just all utilize this training facility. So to do that, it required a MOU between the city and the county to do so, and that's what I'm asking for y'all to approve. It has been to both the City of Crockett attorney and Houston County attorney, and the Commissioner's Court has approved it on their end. So to finalize this, I'm asking y'all to approve this. There would be no cost to the city. The only thing I'll touch on that I might have a question about when it talks about insurance. Currently, when we use our city gun range, or when we go outside the city for training, our officers are considered to be on duty, so they're already covered under city insurance policy. So there would be no additional insurance coverage taken out, no additional fees to the city for us to be covered on that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
It's better than buying a new one. Sharing, maintenance and everything.
Well, I make a motion that we approve the interlocal agreement between Houston County and the City of Crockett for the use of the Houston County Gun Range.
Second.
Okay, so moved in second. All in favor? Motion carries. Y'all go share with friends. Okay. If there's nothing else,
Make a motion with adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
How you doing?
Yeah, my friend.
This budget workshop? Is this gonna be?
Yes, ma'am, that's we finally got some packets printed for our current budget.
Oh, okay.
Just some reading with your, of the budget that we're under.
Ms. Donna, how you doing? Would you give me a ruling on the issue of abstaining so I can understand my position on abstaining?